So the purpose of the renovation was to take what had been an abandoned, an overgrown and dilapidated piece of Evanston's history, restore it as much as possible to its original condition, and to give it, say, another 100 years lease on life. The impact on the property and the community of the project was on a couple levels. First was there was just a simple, tangible taking something that had been abandoned and overgrown and bringing it back. I think on a broader level, it was an example of what can be done when the city works cooperatively with private developers to find creative ways to develop and preserve pieces of history like this and pieces of culture, and not just make them preserved, but actually make them a living, breathing part of the community.
The purpose of the alteration was to provide the Gombergs with more living space in their truly remarkable house on Central Park Avenue. They had 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. And now they have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And I think the addition complements rather than clashes with that original building, which is a landmark, and deservedly so. I think personally the rear is as presentable as the front. I get that comment, I like to hear that comment, because then I know I've done a good job, for my clients and people who look at my work for the first time.
The purpose of the alteration to this particular house was to replace a deteriorated old back porch. This house was built in 1865, and the back porch, while not original to that house, was certainly there for a very long time. Now it flows down into a backyard and they have a patio back there. It really works much better in terms of the way it functions, but also I think in terms of the way it looks. The impact that this project had on that property and that house and the community around it really was to take a wonderful, beautiful vintage home, 1865 vintage home, and add an element to it that fit with it, that was really coordinated with the rest of the details in the home, so that it looks the same. It looks like it's always been there. That was very important to our clients and I think to the community.
So my husband and I had been looking for a home in Southeast Evanston for about a year before we found our house. And we really love the historic nature of the neighborhood, and we wanted to be close to the lake and walkable down to downtown. But we also wanted to live in a home that was bright and fresh and had a feeling of newness, but at the same time, stick to the character of the neighborhood and the historic homes that we love.
So one of the other things was that both Lauren and her husband David have 2 small children, and they wanted the house to really have a better flow. The existing family room area was down 2 steps, so we did a remodeling where we raised the level up to meet the kitchen floor, and all of that really worked well with her family.
The purpose of this design was the owners were looking for a way to keep their parents on site, and we were able to actually put a coach house next to their main house. And we had looked in the code, and there was nothing that said a coach house couldn't be 1 story. And so that's what we did. We did a little copy of the big house, and the parking's in the back of it. This project's impact for the neighborhood and the community and the site was interesting because the lot was so large that in fact it looked like there was a hole in the street. There was a hole in the urban fabric. And by putting this smaller house next to it, it fit that in really well, and it keeps the rhythm of the street. And it looks like it really belongs there, like it's always should have been a part of that property. So we're really happy with the way that came out.